Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask.
Well, hello there to all the good people of Ohio and beyond. This is Aaron Knapp, and you're tuned into Unplugged, broadcasting without permission. This is a place where the truth gets louder and we dig deeper, and where we always remember, be lawful, not awful. If you want the full stories, the documents, the videos, and everything they don't want you to see, head on over to AaronKnappUnplugged.com. My new home for every investigation, every episode, and every update. And while you're here, be sure to like the video, follow the page, and hit subscribe. And share this with someone who needs the truth. We're building something real here. We're building something fearless. And we're doing it together. Welcome to Unplugged. Let's kick this thing off. Well, hello there to all the good... Hey there, guys. How's it going tonight? Aaron Knapp here. Just want to welcome you guys here. Still working a little bit on the overall play of this podcast and the way things are going to go and how it's going to look. I've got some impromptu sponsorship stuff that I'm throwing out there, as well as announcing some new stuff tonight. If you caught it in the beginning, you'll understand it as we get further into the script, but we're going to announce at the halfway point what's going on. So for tonight, we're going to talk about the mega site blueprint, how New Russia Township became ground zero. So tonight, guys, we're talking about land, right? We're talking about power. We're talking about a future shaped for a community without the community. And that's the problem. This is Aaron Knapp, Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, as we would say. And today we're going to go deep into the fight unfolding in New Russia Township, a fight that seems to matter far beyond Lorain County and far beyond Ohio, and straight into the future of how America uses its rural land. This episode isn't just for the people in New Russia Township. It's for anyone in Ohio. It's for anyone in the Midwest. It's anyone in a town where farmland is quietly being eyed for concrete. So let's get into it. So in our first segment, we're going to talk about what's happening on the ground. So New Russia Township has always been defined by its land. Wide open fields, quiet roads, generations of farming. A rural community built on space, peace, and stability. I myself have seen it when I've driven through it on my motorcycle during the summers. It's beautiful lands out there. But now, that land is being positioned for a massive industrial mega site. They call it mega site. We're talking about more than 1,000 acres of land, a runway extension, sewer expansions, major state funding, and a very aggressive push to rezone farmlands into industrial paths. And that's what's about to happen again coming up soon, is they're going to run another zoning commission hearing where they want to rezone farm agricultural only land into industrial land. And that should concern any farmer, any person that gets their food from a farm. An aggressive push into these rezoning areas for farmland is not good. They're just trying to bring in more industrial sites. And what's got people fired up is by the time the residents have learned what was happening, the planning's already been happening for years. Maps are drawn, infrastructure plans drafted, regional players are all looped in, state funding lined up. The people who call this township home, they were the last to be informed. And I think that's the problem. And I think that's the problem we find across multiple, theaters. So when they walked into those public meetings, they were walking into a conversation that had already been deep in progress with many other people that had nothing to do with them, a conversation that they were never even invited to. They weren't given a seat at the table, and they weren't invited. And that's why their anger is real. That's why the turnout has been massive. And that's why there are yard signs everywhere. I mean, I, for one, have added their pages and I've seen them. People are just giving the signs away. And I, for one, who ran a political campaign, know how much those signs cost. This community isn't anti-growth from what I can see. I went out and sat in their meeting, but they're anti-being ignored. And I'll say that really quick here, before I move on to the second segment. When I went I went to their meeting last night, and when I went there, I saw them, exclude a newly elected member of their board who was an alternate that soundly defeated the incumbent and who supported this mega site. And so, of course, they didn't want her on this committee where they were talking about things. But if you go look at my video, which I posted on the YouTube page, or on the Facebook page, and later will be on the YouTube page, you'll clearly see she asked a lot of really intelligent questions of the committee, and she got a lot of good things on record. Like, if you've talked to people from the county, does it go against your rules to now have these discussions and vote on them? Is it a conflict of interest? So she asked a lot of good questions, but these people have been ignored for a little bit too long, I feel like, and they're fed up with it. So I think once people realize that, they're going to understand that in the grand scheme of things, it's this. Is if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. New Russia Township is a test case, folks. It's a pilot. It's a blueprint being quietly applied across Ohio. Well, not so quietly if you know where to look. Behind almost every major development push in this state, you're going to find the same network. Team Neo, Jobs Ohio, private development strategists, land assemblers like Stephen Arville, regional economic alliances, infrastructure consultants. And these actors, they don't just advise, right? They shape, they direct, they target land. Let that sink in, folks. They target land. You hear country song, buy dirt. Well, there's a reason they say buy dirt, folks. You buy land, you buy dirt. I haven't seen the video because I haven't posted it, but there was a lands commission in Lorain recently where Dave Moore, the commissioner himself, showed up in Lorain and suggested I'm being told, because I haven't seen the video, so it's secondhand. I'm being told that he showed up and suggested they buy dirt here in Lorain. And then if they wanted to develop it, he knows somebody in Sandusky that can help. I mean, that's how it works, folks. Back scratching, you scratch mine, I scratch yours. So these actors aren't just advising; they're actively participating, and they're shaping the land. They're targeting the land. They position regions, and they coordinate political players. And what Team Neo and their partners have set their eyes on now is this rural township. And the process always looks the same, right? Years of quiet planning. No one says anything. They start just coordinating with the counties. They get with the county commissioners. They get the right people in, because the only people that really want to be, usually in the commissioner spots are business people who have the money to run these, campaigns and be involved. And so you got a coordination with the counties. You got state funding pursuit. So they're grabbing all this money up, these grants, these funds. They're doing infrastructure mapping. Then, and only then, does the public learn what's happening. So, it's already down the road. So by the time the people of New Russia Township even heard the term mega site, Team Neo, the county, Jobs Ohio, and contractors had likely already been aligned for a long time. And from what I've seen and the research I've done, they were, right? This is the model. This is how they do it. And it's spreading. It's not just here. It's not just in Lorain County. It's not just in New Russia Township. It's not, it's everywhere. From Licking County with Intel, to rural Virginia with massive data center corridors, to Kentucky, North Carolina, Michigan, Georgia. Everywhere the pattern is the same, folks. Rural land gets bought up, industrial expansion. Farmland turns to concrete. community voice is always the last priority, the last thing heard. And that's why this episode is for every listener: urban, rural, suburban, left, right, independent. This isn't just a township story, folks. This is an Ohio story. This is a national story. This is a land use revolution happening right under us. And if you guys don't see that, and if you don't stand up and stop it, they're going to steal all your farmland. And then what? Where are we going to get our food from? Everyone's got a story. I remember when this was all farmland. I remember when this was all orchards. I remember when this was all trees. I get we need somewhere to live, but come on, folks, we also need to eat. And so, I just want to talk something a little personal on this next segment here, because I was physically in the room, the other night at that committee meeting in New Russia Township. And let me tell you, the people in that room were done being sidelined. They did not like it. They showed up very, very, I wouldn't say angry as much as I would say they showed up disappointed, as my mother would say, in their leaderships or their leaders. They were very informed. They were very prepared. They were determined. They had seen my articles and met me with a jovial glee that, that can only be described as a child that was finally being heard, for really calling wolf when there was a wolf and having never called wolf when there wasn't one, right? These citizens are like, look, we're not okay with this. And everyone's just blowing them off. Everyone keeps feeding smoke up their butt. And so I come along, and again, I'm doing my series on the commissioners anyway. I'm looking at the Midway Mall. I'm looking at these things. I'm delving through all the records. I'm looking at all the transcripts. I'm looking at all the financials, and I see what's going on there. And this fits right into the overall pattern, right? So these people showed up, and they were ready, and they had already heard me, and they had already been heard by me. And so I'm out there trying to champion these people, but, I'm just one voice. I would hope that, if nothing else, when you take away from this story, is that you should go to these town meetings. You should go to your commissioner meetings. They said it best at that meeting. The head guy there was like, well, we put this out, right? And they do. They're not wrong. They do put all this stuff out for you guys to read, be informed, take care of business. But in a county that traditionally doesn't show up to vote at all, what are you supposed to do? So they count on you not being informed. They count on you not showing up. They count on you just not ever participating and letting them do whatever they want. And then you come complain. And what is their argument every time? We gave you an opportunity to speak and you didn't. That's on you. So guys, these are your opportunities. These are your moments. Few and far between, right? But they're your moments. They're definitively your moments. They're the moments that we shouldn't pass up. They're the moments that only come once in a lifetime. Once in your lifetime, and you fail your kids when you do this. If you are a farmer, and I'm not, but my family were cattle ranchers back in the day, and I'd probably make the farmers balk. Oh, cows eat land, and they do. But these people showed up. They showed up. Their voices were raised, but not recklessly, but righteously. People demanded answers. They demanded transparency, and they demanded respect. But then something happened that told the real story. The committee refused to allow the newly elected trustee, the person that the voters had just chose to sit in, right? They just chose her to be their newly elected person because they ousted the other one. And the other one was in support of this new site. And so on a night where they're making some decisions about good stuff, they're supposed to usually let an alternate sit in when the other lady couldn't be there. Well, the other lady wasn't there, the one that lost the election. I'm sure she was, nursing her wounds. She couldn't be there. And so the lady that was replacing her was there to be an alternate, and they would not let her in. They did let her speak, which I thought was awfully mighty white of them. But the fact they didn't let her participate shows me exactly, what do you have to hide? If everything's on the up and up, you don't have to hide anything, right? But they normally, apparently, I don't go to enough of their meetings, but from the sound of it, this was a normal thing. You have an alternate, they sit in. Because, again, unlike Lorain City Council or one of these bigger ones where you've got 11, 12, 13 people, you're dealing with, 4 people, 5 people. One's not there, you don't have a quorum. I don't know. But here's the most outrageous part, folks. They've allowed it in the past, right? This was, like I said, their standard practice. But suddenly, now when the stakes are high, when transparency matters the most, they shut that door quick. The residents saw it. They felt it. They reacted to it. They weren't having it. I felt it. I felt in that moment as if I was a new Russia Township farmer, watching as my livelihood, my homes, my family lands, and everything I loved and wanted were being encroached upon by the coming, black highway of government. you know. And if you want to see exactly what I saw, there's going to be a full uncut recording of that meeting. It's actually posted right now on my other pages, the Lorraine Politics page, and you can watch it yourself because it's moments like this that matter, and they deserve to be documented. That's why I was glad I was there to video it, and I videoed the board, and I videoed the new candidate. And I'm going to suggest to all you people out there who are in your places, like, this is what I had Garen get, and this is what I have, and this is, which is what we carry. We carry a body camera everywhere we go. It's a standard police type issue one. You can get one for about $150 online, and maybe one day I can get a sponsor. But this is from CamPro, and I had Garen get his from CamPro. CamPro is a great body camera. It's very sturdy, and in the grand scheme of things, you go get this cam. It's got plenty of hours. It will record. You can set it to record in 1 hour increments or less. And you can, like the cops do, you can mute it. It's great. I suggest everybody get one. You can also do live videos on your phone, but having a body camera protects you. But when you guys go to these meetings, live broadcast them, because in some cases they don't stream them at all. You got to get them on the record. And even if, you're not me and I'm there videoing it, like I can't be at every new Russia Township meeting, but you folks are. Maybe since you have all these other people, you designate 1 or 2 of your people, have an alternate to be the videographers of these meetings, so that we get them on document and send them to me, because I will review them and, we'll do more on it. So, and here we are, at the halfway point of tonight's podcast. And I just want to say that before we go any further, a lot of you came here for the major announcement. And I'm basically everything I've described so far, everything this community is up against, everything we're uncovering. Like, this is exactly what I've been building and why I've been building something kind of behind the scenes. And at the encouragement of, my friends over at the Lorraine Daily and Vermilion Daily, and at Eric's, Eric's put together something amazing over there with the digital quality and product he's been putting out. I already had some experience with this particular type of website and the hoster patterns. So I have gone out and purchased a web domain. It's exactly what I'll be telling you about. And now I have a website where we will be keeping everything in one spot. So I want to make a major announcement, folks. Like, my new media headquarters is officially live. It's AaronKnapp.unplugged.com. Once again, that's AaronKnapp, unplugged, UNPLUGGED.com. AaronKnappUnplugged.com. Unplugged, uncensored, and unbothered. That's right, folks. That's going to be my new home for every investigation, every podcast episode, every public record document, every timeline, every meeting, every recording, every reporting series, and every update going forward. It's all going to be in one place, independent, unfiltered, and built specifically to hold people accountable. And also, it won't be dependent on other areas like Facebook or anyone reporting it. This will be outside that realm. I own it. I built it. And I'm going to move forward with it. And it's going to hopefully change all our lives. But I built it to hold these people accountable. And I'm going to continue to put my stories out there. I am going to tell you at some point, I probably plan on monetizing it, maybe some ads or possibly subscriptions in return for early article access. But guys, like, it's big. I'm happy. I'm glad I did this. I've got the page up and running. You can go there and check it out after this. I will be putting this podcast on there, I'm sure, as well. Right now, I'm in the process of going through all of my old stories on the Substack and transferring them there. For those that have followed me on the Substack, I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with putting stuff on the Substack, but I really do hope that everybody will kind of come here to get their stories here. It's all outside of the Facebook circle. So if you're not on Facebook, you can access it. But if you are on Facebook, I'm going to be sharing it to all these platforms. I've got the YouTube page, which we've rebranded, to to Unplugged with Aaron Knapp as well. And so, as you see, we're taking it away from the Lorraine side of things. Although I will still be here for Lorraine, I'm still covering Lorraine. We're still going to keep that Lorraine politics page open and running. We're going to share all of that same stuff that we've been sharing through that page. I just feel like at this point, we go a little bit more bird's eye view. We start to look at county. We start to look at state. I start to look at the way all these things are tying together, and it concerns me when I see a Neo out there doing what they're doing. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we return from the break, we're going to talk about the broader state and federal ramifications of this fight. So here we go. Here at Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, we like to thank our sponsors. We have a few unofficial sponsors tonight, and they are definitely not paid sponsorships. I want to throw out there a big thank you to Joseph Jones and Eric Jones of the Lorraine Daily and the Vermilion Daily. They have a local news page. You should check them out. They do plenty of great work broadcasting all the news that is the news that you want to have in Lorraine and Lorraine County. So check them out. Also, please, if you need any legal services, feel free to reach out to Robert Gargas. You can find him listed online. He's a fine attorney and comes highly recommended by yours truly. And last but not least, I want to mention DNC Radio. Please make sure you check out one of the up-and-coming internet hip-hop stations and all of their shows. They put on a lot of shows. You have the Never Outdone show. You also have the Eric Bowen show, Speak Up, Speak Out. So please make sure you guys check them out as well if you're looking for your latest and up-to-date hip-hop artistry. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a non-paid sponsorship brought to you by Unplugged with Aaron Knapp.
Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we.
All right, folks, welcome back. How's it going? So I hope you guys check out our sponsors there. They're doing some great work out there. DNC Radio was really helpful to me to my campaign run. I was on 2 of their shows, but more importantly, they're helping out the community. They're doing great stuff out there. They're letting everybody know exactly what needs are being, not met and met within the community. Eric Bones in his Speak Up, Speak Out show, he's an advocate. He is, strong within the community. He's working within Illyria groups. He's doing great work. Never Outdone show us to like he's over there, hammering it out. He's doing comedy, he's doing music, but more importantly, he's working with the youth of Lorraine. I set him up with, after my appearance on his show, I set him up with the juvenile justice program. I contacted the few people that I do still know over there. And regardless of what people want to think about whether how I left there or not, Crossroads and juvenile justice still was the first and the most meaningful position that I held within Lorain County. And those kids deserve to be, they deserve the best. That's all I can say. And I feel like they had this DJ equipment in there, sound tuning equipment. It might have been a little bit older, but nobody really knew how to use it. They'd had people come out before and try to work with it, but he's gone out there he's gone out there and he's working with them to make sure that that they have an opportunity, if this is what they want, to look into it. So DNC Radio is doing great work. I love what Robert Gargas is doing for people out there, even if certain people within our government, like our APA Lee Prue, seem to want to, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes because their association with me, that people get attacked, and they're trying to make it so other people can't work now as well. I don't like that. So you guys should check out Robert Gargas. He's a great lawyer, and I think that if you have issues, then you should either call him or get some tissues. And then top it all off on the end, please check out Lorain Daily, Vermilion Daily. Eric and Joseph over there are doing a great job keeping you guys informed quick and promptly. Joseph is out there working the beat daily. He's all over Lorain and Lorain County. He's working hard out there for you. You guys know who they are. You know where they're at. You know what their pages are. And yeah, you may see them around in some of your local community groups, because they are reaching out and restoring these community groups to the glory that they once held. And they're taking out the spammers and all of the other garbage that you see. So let's give them a big round of applause, guys. Let's make sure that we're taking care of people. Let's make sure that they are getting their applause. And just understanding that, these kind of things are what we have to do to let people know. So coming up next, and with no further ado, let's widen the lens, right? Let's because this story is going far beyond Lorain County. It's going to be our next segment is going to be on the state and federal implications of all of this. So there are 4 major ramifications to what's happening in New Russia Township, right? Food security is number one. Food security. Every acre of farmland lost is an acre of America you will never see again to be used to grow food, ever. Once you pave over it, it's no longer viable farmland. Now, rural farmland's vanishing across the country at an alarming rate. And I'm not going to dull you with the the percentages, because I love statistics. And I looked, and it's scary at the rate at which we're giving up our food stores. And so for anybody out there, and again, it cracks me up, our Republican commissioners who claim to want to put America first will want to eat up, this mega site without thinking of the fact, how are we going to feed ourselves? I understand, but we provide a lot of the world's food, or at least ours, and we've seen what happened when Ukraine had their attacks and the grain supply was threatened. So my idea here is that I would not want less farmland, right? In Ohio, why do you need more of these mega sites? What is it going to bring you? What is tearing out New Russia Township's heart going to do? And for anybody out there who's like, well, hell, they got their name, New Russia Township, they're probably some of them communists. They're not, right? These are hardworking farmers. I went out there and met them the other night. These people are trying to save their livelihoods, their families' livelihoods, their children's future, our children's future, and the future of our crops and our food and our ability to feed ourselves. Because as I said, I'm going to say it again, every acre of farmland lost is an acre of America that will never be returned to the use of growing food, ever. New Russia Township is just one more domino in a chain that's moving frighteningly fast. Like, you should be scared at how fast it's happening. So state level power structures, you have to understand that Jobs Ohio, Team Neo, and these regional consultants and private land firms, right? You have to look at where the money's at. And everyone said to me since the beginning, follow the money. Well, I hate math, but as a social worker, I pull strings. And so, yes, Jobs Ohio, Team Neo, regional consultants, and private land firms have enormous influence on how land is used. And these groups are not accountable to the voters, right? Only your reps are. Now in New Russia Township, they made sure to at least made one of their reps know that their kind of BS wasn't going to be allowed anymore. These groups are not accountable, like I said, to the voters. So, but their decisions are reshaping counties. We have a federal economic realignment going on. Washington wants shovel-ready industrial sites for semiconductors, energy hubs, data storage, and manufacturing. Now, for the record, I have to point out one of my key plans as a Republican is exactly this: shovel-ready sites, right? That's what I was saying in my own things. We want shovel-ready sites, but I didn't want them for industrial sites. I wanted shovel-ready sites and for local municipalities to build on, maybe housing, maybe parks, maybe green spaces, because I'm a little bit of a social worker on that. I'm not looking for industrial sites. I don't want semiconductors, energy hubs, data storage, or manufacturing like Mary Springowski. Those were the ideas: semiconductor sites, energy hubs, data storage. The problem is these things take up massive amounts of energy, and Ohio's already in a struggle for energy and an energy crisis. And again, we're not going to lean on our energy people. Householder, need I say anything more? But okay, I digress. So they want to use this stuff for all these different reasons, and the states will they'll compete to offer them, right? And first land thrown on the table is always rural farmland. That's what we do. Always, 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 always. Because it's the easiest, right? Nothing has to be taken out. It's just farmland until you're starving. So the precedent is if the mega site moves forward, it becomes a template. Other communities lose their leverage. Other farmlands become vulnerable. Other counties become targets. The fight matters today because on how many fights it will influence tomorrow. Now, I would say we're not the first, and I'm selling this as if we are the catalyst that's going to tip the scale in the opposite direction. The direction of urbanization as opposed to rural farmland. And arguably, I have to admit my own bias in that when I retire from here, I am going to leave and go to Texas, where my family has 6 acres on a farm to market road that's homesteaded. And I do believe, that we can't give up these little pieces of land in the way that the county is doing it. You also have to understand, folks, what else is happening is people are calling these people and soliciting them for their land consistently. They're just, hey, do you ever think about selling your land? Now, go pull up the property maps and look at the people that are adjacent that stand to make a buttload of money selling their land, and see if they match up to the people that are approving this versus, some people that are getting their land stolen. Oh, I'm sorry, eminent domain, and others that feel like their voices aren't being heard. Because sure, they don't have to sell, but we've seen what happens to these communities. We see online, people make jokes about it. Oh, look at this one farmer that refused to sell and is not giving up and is in the midst of an entire urban community with houses around. And then the HOAs are complaining that there's dust coming into their home because, I don't know, you moved into an area that was known for farming. Now, think about it. You want to look at places like Lorain County, Lorain City. What I see, and I always see, is the same thing. I see, we're on a floodplain. We've got floods everywhere. We've got all these issues. We've got all this stuff going on. And we just keep building. We just keep taking and taking and taking. And then we wonder why it floods. We wonder why we can't get things built. We wonder why. Well, here at the end of tonight's podcast, I know, kind of crazy. It's not the usual 3 hours. We're only at about 34 minutes right now. I have, some recognitions I want to do and whatnot, but we're going to kind of go over like a little bit of a final thought for me. This has been a journey, folks. I started out selfishly with McCann because I didn't like that he stole my job, right? And in the moment, I didn't like the way he responded to me with my service dog as a veteran. Now, I didn't know what I was stepping into when I did that. I didn't know the ramifications of my actions. I probably should have, but I didn't. I didn't think about it. I was going to school at the time. I was trying to fight for custody of my daughter. I didn't think about it. I get it. A lot of people are like, you crapped on the wrong person's shoes. It's like, well, but I mean, did I crap in his or did he crap in mine? I didn't come at him. He came at me. And in the end, the most of the goal of getting where we're at right now was specifically eye for an eye, because they didn't want to give me the handshake that I initially asked for from James McCann. And for anybody that doesn't believe I would have just gone, I would have. But I knew that was the one thing he was never going to do. His ego wouldn't allow it. Mine will. I know I sound narcissistic, but I'll shake your hand at the end of the day. I'm not stupid. I know, when the people spoke, I know when I've lost. I mean, again, I congratulated Angel numerous times. What I will point out for those that are upset about me going back on the warpath against him, he got a break because I was running for office. I just want you to realize that. If anyone out there can attest to that, it's Demakia. Like, and I've seen him. I've said it. I've seen him at the schools. I've talked to him. I don't have a problem with Tony Demakia, the human being, the person, any more than I have a problem with Angel Arroyo, the human being, the person. I don't know any of these people outside of that. I only maybe know one or two people within these circles. I only have one of them that I've talked to more than a few times that I would consider even remotely close. I know there's one person within council that literally drove me to the hospital and had my back. And I wish that person was my council person, because that's the council person I want to have at my back. I just wish that council person had the power to fight back against the powers that be. And she would have if I'd have stepped in, but that day late and a dollar short. I'm actually, again, like I said many times, happy I didn't win. I really would have represented Lorraine proudly, strongly, as great as I could. But even in talking to my own mother and everyone, she's like, I'm proud you took it this way. Yes, I took it the way I'm supposed to take it. That I'm literally doing it because it's the Constitution of the United States of America. It's every citizen's duty and obligation to do these things. And so that's why I'm like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we do these things? Why wouldn't we want to make sure that we're participating in the process? I know people will say, oh, like I know Tim Williams came along, and I've done stories about him, so he has the right to talk crap. But he'll come along and say, well, Aaron, you got blown out. Well, did I really, though? I mean, I'm not going to go look at the percentages of everybody else. I'm pretty sure it's not the biggest differential in history considering the numbers. I mean, if we're looking per capita. But 25% of the vote for me, not really putting in much effort until the very end. And really, as Eric pointed out to me, I really wasn't putting in as much effort until Jasmine came along. Jasmine struck a chord in me, and that chord is the chord of the people of Lorraine. She made me realize there are people out there that still watch and support. She is part of the reason why this will now exist, because the people of Lorain County, the people of Lorain City, the people of South Lorain, North Lorain, East Lorain, Mid Lorain, whatever Lorain, Elyria, New Russia Township, Elyria Township, South Amherst, Avon Lake, any of these places that are, and anyone I forgot, I apologize, that are part of our community, that are part of our county, they all have a say in what goes on around them. And I get it. I really do get it. And I understand too why a lot of people out there have disliked what I brought. They've disliked the way I bring it. But grand scheme of things, nobody was listening to me before I brought it this way. I want to acknowledge in this podcast tonight, there hasn't been any of the usual fire and brimstone. I haven't been cursing or doing any of the other things I normally do. And there's a reason being is that for this, I don't have to. Yeah, it's unplugged, but I don't have to be that guy anymore. I was only that guy to get your attention. So guess what? Hi, I'm here. Now you know who I am. Everywhere I go, people know me. So for better or for worse, you're stuck with me for a while. And the way I see that is I'm going to keep doing this podcast, this one in particular. This is going to be the new format. You know, for those that said, Aaron, if you can give us a different way of doing it, if you can, you know, not be the guy you were. Well, look, this is YouTube. This isn't, you know, Facebook. And on Facebook, I get it. I would yell, scream, holler, but those videos delete, and they don't hold the long lasting cue that something on YouTube does. And moving forward, I'm no longer just running for office. I'm running a brand. This is a brand. And in the grand scheme of things, the brand is me. It's Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. And we're going to do this right. We're going to start addressing some larger issues. And as I move forward, I look forward to the changes. I'm going to work on getting this website to be the best that it can be. I'm not even halfway at uploading all my stories yet. Once I get all the stories uploaded from the Substack, every new story will come through the WordPress and through this new venue. All of my videos for these types of podcasts and whatnot will also be posted on there as well. You'll be able to find anything that is Aaron Knapp and anything that is Unplugged on my page, Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. So be sure to check that out. That's at, once again, www.aaronnapp.unplugged.com. That's AARONKNAPPUNPLUGGED.com. Or if you need it phonetically, let's see if I can still do this. So Alpha, Romeo, Oscar, November, Kilo, India. Wait. My bad. Kilo, Nora, Adam, Paul. And then for Unplugged, it would be Union, Nora, Paul. Damn, that's going to be a hard one. Paul, Lima, PL, Union, Golf, Edward, Dog, EdwardDog.com. So once again, that's AaronKnappUnplugged.com. That's the new website, folks. That is the new website. That website's going to be separate of Facebook, separate of anything else. You can check it out. It's accessible on your phones. It's accessible on your websites, your pages, everything. And that's where you'll find everything Aaron Knapp and everything Unplugged. And I want to thank, once again, everybody for tuning in tonight. And I want you to take a long, hard look at what's going on around you. Take a long, hard look, because what's happening in New Russia Township can happen to you. It's happening to people in Elyria Township. And I'm not going to tell you I was surprised when what happened with New Russia Township, because you know what happened when I started writing stories about Elyria Township that nobody wanted to write? Same thing. People felt unheard. These people are talking to me about selling their property. The difference between a bunch of homeowners in Elyria Township, again, who don't deserve the harassment they're getting, like my former treasurer on my previous political campaign, Linda, who's out there in Elyria Township, who, you know, is like, I should just sell my home and go back to Chicago or just leave here. And other people in Elyria Township have said that. The difference is you've got people that are in New Russia Township that are farmers. We're talking generations of people that have bought, lived, and owned and farmed that land. They're not going to give it up so easily, folks. And I think that's where our commissioners underestimated the people of New Russia Township. And I think that's where our government will eventually underestimate the people of Ohio. But you guys got to vote. Your voter turnout is dismal. And honestly, when you've got a dismal voter turnout and nobody shows up and nobody's doing the right thing and nobody's voting for the right people and all you're doing is voting name recognition, then what kind of change do you expect? Now, see, I ran for office and I knew that I needed this kind of stability in order to move forward with all these different projects that I want to work on. And if you think about it that way, all of you would say, well, what have you done to make a difference? Well, I've done something to make a difference. And you can be mad about the way I did it. You can be mad about the way I said things before or after the election. It doesn't matter. I ran for office. I pulled a petition. I did what I needed to do. I didn't confront someone at the polling site. I didn't have my supporters come attack Angel. I didn't do the things that we're done. Sure, I posted my stuff and his stuff. He's a drug and alcohol counselor. He knows as well as I do that you own up to what you're doing, right? Like, that's the only way. If you're hiding it, then you're addicted. If you're hiding it, then you have a problem. That's why you don't hide it. Unless, of course, you get to that point where it's just you're not hiding it because it's out in the open so much that you don't care. That's a problem. But you admit to it. You own it. I own the fact that what happened at Madhouse. I own the fact that, I was on the phone with somebody for, Victoria, because I've already admitted it, for 3 hours, and I was overserved and got the living crap kicked out of me. And yes, I've been informed multiple times that I do have a lawsuit against them. I could go get a Dram Act case, and their insurance company would be forced to pay me out. I do acknowledge that they offered to have me on their site, even if it was just to make, fun of the fact that somebody at another bar tried to kick me out. I would like to address those things too, eventually. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say people like to touch people in Lorain physically. They like to come up and grab you. They want to hit you from behind. They want to sneak attack you. And that's no different than what went on here in New Russia, right? They got sucker punched. And now at least they woke up, right? They woke up and elected a new trustee, folks. You did that with a few people this term. I mean, obviously, I guess, you couldn't support me because I was a Republican. Republicans didn't seem to think so. But that too is okay because, again, this gives me the time to do this. Instead of preparing for the next board meeting, instead of preparing for trying to figure out how I can save the town and the people of Lorain, with my hands tied behind my back as a council person and a group of people around me that don't like me, like vipers in the den, I get to do it from the outside like I wanted to from all along. I've been running for office for over a year, which I've had to stifle myself and my voice. And I know you would say, well, God, doesn't sound like it, but I have. Maybe not my tone, maybe not my words. The cuss words were more there because I couldn't say a lot because I was running for office. Now I don't need those words of power anymore because now I have the truth behind me to back me up. So, I want you guys to start following because it's going to be a regular thing. I'm going to try to squeeze out about 45 minutes to an hour every night, or at minimum every other night. We're going to talk about common issues that are affecting everyday Ohioans and people that are, struggling to make ends meet. Maybe we'll have some ones where we discuss food insecurity. I know it's not going to be all just conservative talking points either, folks. Like, I'm a social worker. I'm probably going to do some episodes specifically on social work and how it applies to the community at large. I'm going to do, pieces on CPS and adult protective services. I'm also going to do these political things. This is why it's not politics unplugged, right? This is Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. And Aaron Knapp is not just a Republican voter. Aaron Knapp is a social worker, a licensed professional, someone with a bachelor's degree, someone with a minor in drug and alcohol counseling, somebody who worked hard, educated himself to become somebody. And now, since the city or the county of Lorain doesn't seem to want to allow me to practice that, even though that's exactly what they need, what I've decided to do instead is do this. So that being said, if you do want to support me, I'm going to put my link back up on my page for my PayPal one that I was using for the Substack. But moving forward, we will be offering, paid subscriptions if that's what you so choose. And I'm thinking, if you pay for a subscription, you'll get the stories 3 days in advance before anyone else. And we'll offer special deals that come with that. Maybe direct line to me. I don't know how that works, but we'll look at it. We'll figure it out. In the meantime, I thank you guys for being my supporter, and I'm going to always remember the ones that were here in the beginning, no matter what. We're going to keep working towards a better Lorain and a better Lorain City and a better Lorain County and a better government. We're going to stop people like Judge Mihawk from their tyranny. We're going to stop people like Lee Proof from coming after people and denying records, the whole county and city from denying records all the time. I now have people from New Russia Township asking me to help them with their records requests, which I absolutely will. That brings me to my last point here, folks, is I'm planning on putting together a booklet on exactly how to request records, to do all this stuff. I'm going to put a no mail fee on that too, and I'm going to put it on my website. So if you end up wanting to buy the book, once I get it out there, great. Otherwise, I'm still giving out the free advice, but I'd like to put it all down in one solid spot that you can get, that you can just buy it and have a copy of it. All right. Well, that's going to bring us down to the close to the end of our segment here. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, our website is www.aaronnapunplugged.com. That's AARONKNAPPUNPLUGGED.com. And we're going to go ahead and go down on the end of our night to close. So before we close tonight, I just want to recognize some independent voices who have supported real journalism in Lorain County, completely unpaid. And these are people strengthening local media. As I said earlier, the Lorain Daily and the Vermilion Daily, run by Joseph and Eric Jones, two independent community news platforms committed to the transparency and honesty of reporting. Their work matters, their coverage matters, and they deserve your support. And that being said, not just those pages, because they have the Facebook pages, and I know they're getting groups within the different community groups that were already dying, that were overrun with spammers, that were horrible. And now you guys are getting a better product. And I know change is hard, but you're going to figure it out. They want what's best for us, as I do. And I stand by the work that they're doing. And I know that, everybody looks at our history like it's been rocky, but it's never been rocky. They've always had my back. I've always had theirs. But they've always held me accountable as I've held them. And that's real. That's all you need to understand about that. Speaking of real and raw, we want to talk about DNC Radio. They're real, they're raw, and they're a community-centered broadcast platform, right? DNC Radio is out there. They're bringing voices together across Lorain County. Look them up. Just search DNC Radio on Facebook. I believe they even have that set up on other platforms, maybe even through your Sirius Radio. I don't know. I mean, you're Amazon, but in the grand scheme of things, these guys are out there doing what's right. They're also out there putting out great content. They're putting out great music, up and coming artists. They're doing hip hop shows throughout the community. They're doing DJ work, but they're also doing side work. Like on Statistics E's show, he's doing comedy, and they're sponsoring comedy shows, and they're bringing culture to the city of Lorain, and they're doing it through the lens of the in a lot of areas, the African American lens. And I think that's important for a city that is made up of 12% African American in Lorain, and 22% of that is juveniles. Like, we need outlets like this where their interests can be represented. So check out DSC Radio. They're doing a great job in the community out there. I love what they're doing over there, and support them any way you can. I know right now they've got a lot of voting going on, and you can vote every day. And I know they've got a few people in the category. So float on over to their website, DNC Radio. Check them out. I put a post up there in the middle, like at the end. In fact, I'm going to kind of pop me off for a second. We're going to add this onto the side. We're talking about our host. So here we go. There's their Facebook, facebook.com at DNC Radio OH, and the / there after the .com. And there's the Lorain and Vermilion Dailies information. I didn't put .com on the end of that. Basically AI didn't when it made the picture, but these are our unofficial sponsors. Again, that's my website, AaronNapunplugged.com, the new website that you can check us out at. That's the big announcement of the night, so go check that out. Then we've got DNC Radio, facebook.com / DNC Radio OH. They're all the great new hip hop artists coming out are coming through them, and go vote for them online. Last but not least, we don't want to forget about Robert Gargas, my attorney, Robert Gargas, attorney at law. I know that I got Robert Gargas at gargaslaw.com. I think it also goes to rgargas at gargaslaw.com. Check out Gargas Law for all of your needs and attorney needs. He's done some great work for me, and I appreciate everything that he's done. He's an intelligent attorney. He's very, very passionate about his work. He's Christian, Catholic, I believe, and very, very into his faith. And so if you're looking for a lawyer that's going to fight for you, but that's also into their faith, that's going to support you, then be sure to check out Robert Gargas. He's a longtime advocate for justice, transparency, and accountability. These voices matter. I think you should support them. I think you should share them, and I think you should follow them, because they're part of the ecosystem of the truth, folks. And as much as I've had issues with people like John Moreau, go over and look at his Substack, and he's got one over in Sheffield Lake on the Republican Party. And, follow Kyrese Brooks. And again, even though we didn't win the election, I believe that still we need balance within Lorain City and Lorain County. Go, if you're a Republican, and participate in the Republican Party. Participate at those meetings. And again, I want to thank my person, Jaslyn, for having my back. Jaslyn Serrano for having my back during this last election. You inspired me, and it's young people like you are why I fight. So, I appreciate you for everything you did, Jaslyn. And that being said, we're coming up at the 55-minute mark, guys. So our final thought, closing message tonight. Here's what I want you to take from tonight. New Russia Township is not powerless. It's awake. When a community wakes up, when people stand up, when they demand answers, they can change the story. This fight's really more than about zoning and more than about land. Although land is a big deal, folks. Even though it's more than about land, land is the catch-all of alls. It's more than development. It's about identity. It's about rights. And it's about the future of rural Ohio. And while I may not be from Ohio, my original hometown, Bakersfield, California, right? I grew up in Bakersfield, California. Cesar Chavez marched through our towns. We had we had cotton and fruit orchards and almond orchards. Almonds are big out there. And, our community was based on Bakersfield. It's farmland. And so I watched this farmland and orchards as I drove out. Like, my school was surrounded by a cotton orchard, and then on each side were fruit orchards. And then in front of the school was a farmland. Everything was farmland. Half the kids in my school were farmers. And then slowly but surely we watched those areas go. And when I go to Bakersfield now, areas that were traditionally farmland are gentrified. They're paved over, folks. They're paved over. And in the moment, from a moment of money, from a moment of what you call progress, you lose things. You lose things like your identity. You lose things like your rights. And you lose sight of the future of what is rural Ohio, the future of how your land is valued. I mean, look, they're raising the prices of homes while devaluing the price of farmland. And they're wanting these people to either get their land stolen, or they're wanting their people to just roll over and give them what they want. Like, just give us your land. We don't care. Like, why can't you just take money and go be rural be a good citizen like everyone else? Go get a real job, whatever. What? Because a real job isn't feeding the community that you grew up in, you lived in, you supported. It isn't these people knowing each other, going to these auctions, working these farms and these fields together. This is a community. New Russia Township should not stop fighting. And neither should any of you townships out there, because what happened to them can happen to you. It can and will happen to you. Team Neo is coming for your land. Jobs Ohio, all these other different places, they're all run by these big people, right? These people are like bigger than life. They're bigger than what they present to be. They're when I looked at the names that were on there, it scared me. Every name you hear on every commercial, everyone, all the way down to NPR. Like, let that sink in. Like, Idea Stream Media is literally part of these groups, and these boards are all tied in. How can you fight such a monumental thing, a beast beyond recognition? Where you fight it through grassroots organizations, you fight it one voice at a time. You fight it by electing new trustees. You fight it by showing up at meetings. You fight it by videoing meetings. You fight it by buying a body camera, okay? Again, if anything, I think CamPro should give me a sponsorship. Because I'm going to tell you, go online, go on Amazon, MCam Pro. This is a body cam. It has plenty of footage. It has plenty of charge. You can review it. You can have everything on it. And it's time-stamped and dated and everything. Check out CamPro. Go online to Amazon.com. Check out CamPro. They're doing a great job with these body cameras. I use them on all of my interactions with law enforcement that I feel might be necessary to record, which is all of them. And I move forward. I will say this much in discussing with law enforcement this last week. I was supposed to get a call back previous week by Monday, this Monday, from Tony Solo in regards to the James McCann case. Still nothing. And then AJ, you told me you were going to call me, by Friday, I think it was, but I gave you till Monday. But now here it is, Wednesday going on Thursday.
and still nothing from any of these people, because they're not going to give me justice any more than they're going to give the people in New Russia justice, any more than they're going to be willing to give any of us justice, because they just want to take. Like I said, it's more than development. It's about identity. It's about rights. It's about the future of rural Ohio and the future of how our land is valued. So if you want me to keep digging, if you want me to keep reporting and exposing the truth, then please like this podcast, subscribe on my YouTube, share this episode, go to AaronKnappUnplugged.com. That's AaronKnappUnplugged.com. Go to AaronKnappUnplugged.com. That's AaronKnappUnplugged.com for full coverage, documents, videos, and updates. This is Aaron Knapp. This is Unplugged, and this is just the beginning. Thank you guys for listening. Please tune in, and we'll see you guys next episode.
We cut through the noise, no script, no leash, no polished decoys, broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise, no script, no leash, no polished decoys, broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise, no script, no leash, no polished decoys, broadcasting without permission. We don't ask.